Hi, everybody. Harry here to talk about an apparent breakthrough in the demands for documents having to do with the Jeffrey Epstein case by the House Oversight Committee. Okay, to review the bidding a little bit, when everything went crazy with the Epstein stuff, you had the House Oversight Committee actually issue two subpoenas. The Republicans called for testimony from a whole series of Democrats who wouldn't seem to have had anything at all to do with this, but fit the kind of narrative that Trump was trying to say now. It's all the Democrats, it's all Hillary Clinton or whatever. But a bipartisan group of the House Oversight Committee, some Dems and some Republicans, voted to subpoena the Department of Justice, and this basically for the mother lode, right? We know that the department, the FBI, has some 300 gigabytes, which if it were just written pages would be in the millions. And that's what the subpoena calls for. Remember, they had the kind of diversion tactic of the grand jury files in the Ghislaine Maxwell prosecution itself. Nothing would ever have be of interest to the people who are clamoring for the Epstein materials and to know who was involved besides him and Maxwell in the trafficking or victimization of the underage girls. But a bipartisan majority votes to subpoena, and that under the rules of the House means that the Republican chair of the committee, James Comer, had to send it over. So the department was served with a subpoena, and the subpoena gave today as the deadline to produce all these materials. Now, those kinds of dates on subpoenas are typically just place markers for negotiation. And here, for example, the Department of Justice has taken a somewhat cooperative stance, but it's also said a lot of paper here. Moreover, we are obligated under law to protect and redact names of victims. We can't just hand you over the whole 300 gigabytes. So we're getting to it. And in fact, we're starting right away. So they actually, the department is saying that of the subpoena that was issued last month, they are right now beginning to produce the documents. Now, it's a little bit cryptic in the DOJ statement. Are they saying, yes, we'll give them all to you. It'll take a while. It'll be a rolling production, but we're not trying to get out of it at all. Or it's also consistent with what they're doing to say, here's a load that could fit in one elevator. Here's a second elevator, but we're going to stop after that. So we're going to give you quite a lot, but we'll decide what is withheld. Now, they shouldn't be deciding. It would be non-conforming with the subpoena and just not necessary to say we won't give you files where victims' names are revealed. Rather, you just redact there. So if they are going to come forward with some kind of argument with, you've had enough now, go and leave us alone, we don't know that wouldn't happen. And remember, for these things, when the DOJ has been served with the subpoena, if they don't comply in a manner that the House Oversight Committee feels satisfied, the options are few. You can try to take them to court, but basically the ways to try to allege contempt, they go through the same Department of Justice. So if you have the Attorney General just stonewalling, there's not going to be that much to do. But here, I think they've concluded, maybe the law had a little bit to do with it, but I think politically, the administration, the rule of holes that seems to come up in this context a lot. When you're in a hole, stop digging. So they've been resisting, and now I think they're going forward with substantial compliance and maybe even full compliance. At the same time, the committee deposed, or they sent a subpoena to call for the deposition of a number of people. And the first one was yesterday none other than former Attorney General William P. Barr, who was around when some of this came up. It's a closed-door interview. Those are the terms, but this being Washington, there was been a little bit of leaks and teases about what Barr said, and actually Comer himself, the chair of the committee, who shouldn't be saying word one about what takes place behind closed doors in a deposition where the subpoena specifies confidentiality. He said he volunteered that Barr was transparent and answered every question. Also that Barr said Barr didn't know anything about an Epstein client list. Remember, that's the sort of big piece that everyone has been asking for since Bondi said it was going to be produced. And then all of a sudden, when payday came, said, oops, there is no client list. So that's really the avid focus of the committee. Barr testifies he didn't know anything about an Epstein client list. He's well past, when the evidence was gathered. And he was asked and answered, and Comer tells the world, even though he shouldn't, that he hadn't seen any evidence that would implicate Trump in any of the Epstein crimes. So that's the basic kind of first day of a new stage in the Epstein matter. There's going to be confidential production of all these documents, and the confidentiality ought to really be secure for half hour or so. Because they leak like a sieve in the House. And so we may be finding out more about the content of it. But of course, it could also be selective. And that's going to be the general kind of tug of war that's going to go forward. Now there's all this material, but people who are really adamant about seeing it all will want to know they've gotten to the bottom. They've plumbed the depths, because there can always be the suspicion if, for example, the DOJ doesn't completely produce every page, that it's those last few pages or last 100,000 pages where the real incriminatory information lies. So it remains to be seen, after a month or more of bobbing and weaving and prevaricating and stonewalling and saying there's nothing here, all without success, to try to quell the increasing firestorm about these documents. It remains to be seen whether the department has now embarked on a path that will take the heat off Trump. He, has been trying continually for different sorts of ways to change the subject. And yesterday, of course, I'm not saying this is the purpose of it, but with the meeting with Putin and the war about which Trump seems to change his mind every 36 hours, that has been the focus, but now this is bringing it back. So will it, in fact, kind of take the political heat off the White House and Trump, or won't it? Remains to be seen. But at a minimum, big stacks of paper are flowing from the Department of Justice to the House Oversight Committee, and they'll be able to not just receive them, but investigate or do stuff with them. So it might take the immediate pressure off the White House, or the pressure that, what's Trump hiding, off them, but it's certainly not going to bring the whole Epstein scandal to a close any earlier. It guarantees continuing action in the House Oversight Committee. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.